You don't get many rock stars around the European Parliament. This was an 11th hour visit by Brian May, demanding a different fate for Britain's badgers. Up to 100,000 could be culled in a government scheme about to start in West Gloucestershire and West Somerset. Farmers hope it'll reduce the spread of TB in cattle, which cost the country £100 million last year.
All sides agree vaccination is a good idea, but there are considerable difficulties. The trapping and injecting of badgers is already being tried in the West, part funded by the government. But it's very expensive and may not make much impact on the disease. Scientists are working on an oral vaccine, but that's a long way off. They're more optimistic about vaccinating cattle, but it could take years and would require a change in European rules.
At this week's Conservative conference, the minister insisted they cannot wait.
The vaccination of our national herd is prohibited by EU legislation, which even once we have a workable vaccine will take years to modify.
Yeah, everybody says, yeah, that's going to take years and years and years, but you know, if you don't try, you're never going to succeed. And what we're discovering is there may be a way to fast-track a little change, one little change which would make an exception.
He's joined forces to campaign alongside the RSPCA.
What we need is Europe to fast-track approval of the new test, which differentiates between cattle that have TB and those that have been vaccinated. And that's the block at the moment in getting vaccination approved in Europe.
So they went to see some who disagree, including an MEP for the southwest of England, where a quarter of cattle herds are presently restricted by the disease. She wasn't won over.
Let's all let it carry on safely and legally and not interfere, not demonise and vilify those who are part of it, and then we can share the evidence that comes from the end of it and make decisions about where we go forward.
In the fields of the West, the shooting could start next week, but it'll be many years before we know whether it's slightly reduced the amount of bovine TB. Paul Bartrop, BBC Points West.